I ain't gotta prove nothing to nobody else. That's why I don't never get too hyped about the win after I win, because it's like you always gotta do something over and over again till you done. And there's always gonna be somebody next, somebody next, somebody next. So I feel as though I don't have to prove myself to these people.
Let's go! Come on! Come on, man!
You know what I'm saying? So we are striving to be the best that we can be to be on that level again, you know. So, you know, you saying you want to do what you want to do, that's good, because that's what you want to do.
That's the God in you that's trying to,
that's good.
That's seeking,
and,
you know?
And you giving back and giving thanks.
Under the hot lights of Miami, Gervonta Tank Davis and Jake Paul are preparing for one of the most surreal boxing events in recent memory, a clash between the sport's most explosive lightweight and a viral star-turned heavyweight showman. But behind the spectacle lies real preparation, real training, and two men treating this like the fight that defines their careers. For Tank Davis, every punch thrown in camp carries the same meaning: prove nothing to anyone but yourself. His mindset is quiet, disciplined, and shaped by years of doing more with less.
So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bet. Everything on the line. You know, that's old school right there.
He doesn't talk about legacy the way others do. He lives it in the gym. Every movement, every slip, every strike is built on repetition and memory. He reminds himself that the spotlight doesn't make you great, the work does. That's why this camp feels different. Davis isn't chasing validation. He's chasing perfection. Inside his gym, Tank sharpens every tool in his arsenal. His power isn't just natural, it's engineered through brutal conditioning and controlled repetition. His core training builds strength to absorb shots from bigger men. His balance work keeps him upright when chaos hits. Every drill is meant to push his body past comfort.
Ain't nobody breaking.
Box, exhale.
Ain't nobody breaking.
Box. Man, boom on that last break.
Go.
Box.
Fight for
I got him.
We chase it. Box. Let's go.
Yeah, I felt that.
Good, perfect. That was your best rep. Come on.
Even his trainers admit this might be the sharpest version of Davis they've ever seen. There's no wasted motion, no empty energy, just a fighter who knows what's coming and refuses to blink. Across the country, Jake Paul's camp mirrors that intensity. He's brought in elite talent names like Shakur Stevenson, Raymond Ford, and Montana. Love to test him daily. He knows Tank's footwork, and speed will be on another level, so his camp is built on reacting faster, countering sharper, and staying composed under pressure. For Jake, this is no YouTube experiment. It's the defining test, a chance to earn respect from the same boxing world that spent years doubting him.
It's just so much stuff. And man, Kenny was sitting there talking about, and the majority of it is when he was little. We talk about all the stuff when he was little, and he started laughing like, dang.
When I get by myself, I always try to like think about like back in the day stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
But we can
I
tell.
just noticed that just now, me talking about it. But
Yeah.
when I get by myself, I be
Yeah.
trying to.
No, we can tell.
Yeah,
When I listen to your interview, I like listening to your interviews that you do, and I can tell when you reflect back on certain things.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see it. That's when I think you at your peace, and you start reflecting back and you talking
When
about
he
certain
say something that we told him a long
long
time ago.
ago.
like,
And I
we
said,
thought he
damn,
forgot it.
we like, damn, he did remember that.
Yeah, he remember that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. I see Brody been calling you a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as far as on the what you call it.
The difference in size remains the fight's biggest talking point. Davis, a natural 135-pounder, will face a man who walks around near 200. Critics argue it's absurd. Supporters say that Tank has always fought bigger men, not in arenas, but in life. They point out that his style, the low crouch, the explosive uppercut, the looping hooks, all were born from fighting giants on the streets long before cameras ever found him. Veteran trainers see both risk and reward.
I like the fight, but as a coach, I think it's a good move for Tank Davis. I mean, I've seen too many kids go out of this sport with not a cent in their pocket, and I think that if Tank Davis takes advantage of a big payday like that, I think it's a ridiculous fight as far as a fight fan. But as a coach, I understand it. You have to take care of your own.
Yeah, you know, well, actually, now that we're talking about it, you're not the biggest fan of it. Fight fans are bringing up like, hey, you know, why did he go this way when there's Lamont Roach? Like, look how close that fight was. There was a draw. We were expecting a rematch in that fight.
Yeah, well,
What's happening here?
As much as we hate it, it hasn't become really a sport. It's become a financial sport. So he took it because it's 5-6 times more than he's going to make with Lamont Roach. That makes sense. I mean, anybody, ask anybody if they have a choice, they're going to take the money. Of course, he's got to take care of his people. He's got to take care of himself. He's got to take care of his future. That's the smartest thing to do. As a fight fan, I don't like it, but as a coach, I understand it.
Yeah, no, and I think anybody in that position, like, we got to like put ourselves maybe sometimes in that same situation. And I think
Absolutely.
anybody with like any like sense of like common sense would look at that and be like, wait, I'm making this much to fight against this guy that's only been fighting for 5 years compared to what could be maybe a really hard fight. And I'm going to make double, triple. Yeah, I'm going to go. Let me do this little side quest real quick. And let me get this money real fast. And then,
Of course, you have to take care of your future, man. If it's offered to you, you'd be foolish not to take it, especially against a guy that is no threat to him.
oh, well, I don't know. This 50 pounds, Abel.
Yeah, but he's no threat to him.
Uh,
Tank Davis fights the way he fights. Understand that Tank Davis fights. He's probably one of my favorite fighters. I think I've said that many a times. He fights in a manner where he's fought all those big guys. Look at the way he throws his punches. Look at how he ducks down like if he's fighting a real big guy. Look at the way he fought when he knocked out Garcia. Look at where he puts his head and how he throws his punches. In the street, that's who he was fighting. He was fighting bigger guys than him. He was always a smaller guy. So he knows how to fight those big guys. He knows how to duck up underneath and throw those looping shots because that's who he fought in the street. At least that's my opinion anyway. He's always been the little guy, and I'm sure that in the streets he wasn't a
Some admit the matchup isn't pure boxing. It's business and entertainment colliding, but they also recognize what's at stake. Abel Sanchez calls it a necessary payday, a chance for Davis to finally reap what years of sacrifice have built. Others, like Robert Garcia, express mixed feelings. They know Tank is still in his prime, with major fights left on the table. Yet they also understand the lure a global stage, millions of eyes, and life-changing money. Shakur Stevenson views the matchup purely from a boxer's perspective. To him, Tank's experience and IQ outweigh everything Jake brings.
And the face of boxing is basically, yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
Again, these are created products. These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate.
Okay,
it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, a great fighter and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set, and all over your phone, and all over. You know what, bro?
You know, an exhibition, you could stage it, and they couldn't take bets on it. So this is an exhibition. There is no betting on it. So that means, I'm not saying people are going crazy with the opinions who's going to win, who's going to lose. You don't know what size gloves they're going to wear. You don't even know if they're going to stage the whole thing, because this is something that, as an exhibition, it's not illegal to stage it. So I think this could be all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff. This is a bit of a circus, in my opinion.
Who would you think should win that fight? Would you think that Davis should be able to get in there, even though the size did 100 pounds? Do you think he should be able to do it?
If they don't stage it and don't kind of set up a sort of a mild sparring session, I'd say Davis has a chance. Depends on the size of the gloves. Because here's the thing, Jake is probably 100 pounds bigger than the guy. You know, that's a lot of weight, Carl. You know, you've been in a boxing ring. That still counts. And if you make the gloves small, Gervonta could technically hurt Jake even if he hits him. But the problem is the gloves are small. Jake could also hurt Gervonta because Gervonta's so small. Gervonta's so much smaller than him. You know, so do you make the gloves big and then really who's got an advantage? I don't know. You know, technically Gervonta's a lot better boxer, but he's so much smaller. I've stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy. It's like I said, it's a bit of a circus freak show, and that's why I don't put it out of the question that this exhibition could be a bit staged in the ring.
That's fair enough. That's a fair point. That is, and actually,
people aren't talking about that enough. I feel like people aren't talking about that enough.
Well, he's threatening to sue everybody who talks about it and anyone who talks about it.
Well, that's because his fights have been sanctioned, and I personally don't think he has set up the other fights. I personally think, like Mike Tyson, he had no legs left. You know what I mean? I to tell you the truth, I thought that was an easy one to bet and call. It was that Jake would beat Mike Tyson, and even some of these other fights, they're smaller. Jake doesn't set up his fights. I think what he does is he stacks the deck against his opponents in those fights. So I wouldn't call them stage, but they're deck stackers. So he has an advantage. In this situation, though,
He expects Davis to fight smart, not reckless controlling distance, staying patient, and using angles to dominate rounds. Stevenson doesn't see a knockout. He sees a masterclass, a smaller man showing the difference between real skill and learned power. Meanwhile, voices like Chris Algieri highlight what this fight represents for modern boxing attention as currency. Tank and Jake aren't just fighters, they're entertainers, each with massive audiences that redefine what big fight energy means today.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. He's been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just going to knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing him.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out? Although more likely that it is, like you just said, a decision.
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur? I mean,
no.
Obviously, no?
Hell no. Nah, that ain't really like... I mean, like I said, here's the thing. Like, I got two sides of me when it comes down to I got a business side, then I got a competitor side. And from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me.
WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded.
It's not just belts anymore, it's about who can command the world's attention. But not everyone is celebrating. Purists like Bernie Thaw argue that boxing loses its soul when spectacle replaces sport. He wants rivalries, rematches, real competition, not exhibitions. Yet even he admits, fans will still watch. Because beneath all the controversy, curiosity wins. Everyone wants to see what happens when heart and heritage collide with fame and force. As the final weeks of camp unfold, both men look locked in Tank, quiet and razor-focused.
But I don't know, what's your just take on the whole thing?
I'm not very interested. That doesn't excite me. I know it's going to do really good numbers. I know they're making a lot of money, which is good for them, good for Tank, because in boxing, that's what everybody looks for. I think it's, the good thing is they announced it as an exhibition, which is, I'm okay with it. Everybody does it. Mayweather has done it. Ali did it. The only thing, my personal opinion is Tank, they all did it when they had already accomplished so much. They already did so much. Mayweather did everything in boxing. and accomplished everything. Muhammad Ali did the same, and many others that have done it. I think Tank never gave us the fights that we really wanted. Never really gave us those challenges. He never really challenged himself. He didn't give Rhodes that rematch, which he should have. You know, Mayweather did it when he had a hard time with Maidana and Castillo. Right away, he did the rematches to prove everybody wrong, and look at what he did. He beat him clearly. So Tank should have done the same. He didn't. That I could criticize, but then at the end also, if you're making 30 to 50 million, I don't even know what he's making to fight, to have an exhibition against just Jake Paul, I would have asked. I would do the same.
No one would say no to that. Right?
If I had one of my fighters get an offer to fight a big celebrity, a big YouTuber for $20-30 million, I would probably do the same. So I don't blame him. You know, it's boxing. At the end of his career, 20 years from now, nobody's gonna care how many.
That's I kind of don't really care about the fight no more. Starting to lose a little steam.
But I'm saying, I mean, if he stops Pitbull Cruz, right? I mean, don't you think that people would want to see, Lamont and Tank more due to the fact that, Tank had a hard time with Pitbull?
No, I think people just want to see Tank versus Lamont because Lamont, he had a hard time with Lamont. It's just like Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. People just like controversy. People just like, you know what I'm saying? So people like to see finished business. They don't want to leave it unfinished. And that's what the intrigue is. They want people want to see finished business. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the intrigue of the fight. And it doesn't make no sense why they taking so fucking a fight, Everybody keeps saying that Tank getting the money, but is we getting the fucking money? Is we bidding there for the fucking money? Is he gonna give us some of the money? Are we waiting on him to feed us any bit? No. I want what I want. Fuck that. I'm selfish. I'm a fan. I want to see the fucking fight. I don't want to see no fucking circus. You know what I'm saying? So for everybody saying, oh, he get a bag, who gives a fuck? I hope he do get. He already rich as fuck. He already won 30 million in the last fight or something. He got more money than I'm ever gonna have. I don't give a fuck. I want to see the fights. I'm a fucking boxing fan. I want to see a fucking fight. I don't want to see no.
Jake, confident and driven. For Davis, it's about legacy through discipline. For Paul, it's about validation through defiance. And for the fans, it's the unpredictable edge of a new boxing era where anything can happen when two worlds meet under one spotlight. When the bell rings in Miami, skill and size, tradition and innovation all collide. And no matter how you feel about it, purist or casual, one truth remains. Boxing, for better or worse, has never felt more alive.